A researcher threatening to sue NASA now, saying that he suspects the agency is manipulating data on climate change. So has Climategate now reached NASA?
That researcher, Chris Horner, he's a senior fellow at the Competitive Enterprise Institute and the author of Red Hot Lies. Thank you for joining us. Give us your 2 cents. Is any of the data, can we rely on any of this data anymore after what we've heard from the emails, etc.? What can we trust now?
Probably just the satellite data, which goes back 30 years, which was put up in place at great expense to you and me in response to the claimed consensus over catastrophic man-made global cooling. So you can look at the satellite data, but what NASA has been doing is, it seems fairly similar to what's been exposed in the UK. In 2007, when I first issued this Freedom of Information Act request, a Canadian statistician named Stephen McIntyre saw NASA increasingly hysteric about U.S. temperatures, even though they were not in fact going up. If anyone with a pulse knows, they've been going down. So he notified NASA, and they corrected their temperature data for the U.S. without issuing a press release for once, and then a few days later went back in and refudged the numbers. And so what we've been seeking is the underlying data, the computer code, annotations to the code. What are they using to constantly change historical data? And also, what was their internal discussion about, should we correct the data? What will be the implications if we do? And so on.
Right.
And NASA has been remarkably not forthcoming. And in fact, last night, 2 senators, Vitter and Inhofe from Louisiana and Oklahoma, sent a letter to the NASA Inspector General saying, guard these documents, don't destroy anything. Don't be too British on this, as they were caught doing, and let's see what really went on.
Well, the Inspector General is supposed to be the overseer and not affiliated, so we'll have to see what happens with that. But let's take a look at some of this data that you say has changed at NASA. So first, 1998 was the hottest year in its records for the contiguous 48 states. Is that true, or did that change?
They've changed they've changed the top 3, the entire ranking several times. So their defense now, let's just resolve where we are now. They're claiming, well, whatever, it's just within a few hundredths of a degree to the 1930s. Okay, well, you proved too much. You're telling us it's now as hot as it was in the 30s. Great. I fail to see the alarm. The trend is going down. What happened, Gretchen, is they were adding different stations. They've been slowly backing out high-altitude rural temperature stations to focus on thermometers sitting in the middle of cities and on airport runways and in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, hanging over a barbecue grill.
Why would NASA be involved in this whole media storm? Why NASA?
Right, that's a very good question. NASA became increasingly a global warming taxpayer-funded agency with the relative decline in space funding. And when you're talking about $7 billion a year writ large in climate-related research, scientists are people too, they began sexing things up. And this gentleman, James Hansen, who is the custodian of the data, has a history of yelling that anybody named George Bush who's a president is muzzling him. The first one, the second one didn't matter. He's a bit of a committed radical global warming alarmist, and he began sexing things up, it appears, during George W. Bush's presidency. They do have a lot of money at stake.
Well, and we're all waiting to see what happens at the Climate Change Conference that will take place in Copenhagen on Monday. Chris Horner, great to have you as a guest. Thank you.
Thank you.